Hey kids, it's the Mr. Fly here, hope you're well. Now a few days ago I was lucky enough to go with my good friend Dominic up to Donington Park for a track day up there and do the thing that I bought this bike for, and that is try it out on a circuit. The bike is an absolute weapon on the track, as I found out, and I had a thoroughly good time. Now I don't know if you've been to a track day before, it's only the second time I've ever been to one. So if you stick around and stay tuned, I'll tell you what happened on a typical track day, and I'll show you a couple of laps on this bad boy. This is only the second track day I've ever been to. The other one I did on my street triple a couple of years ago up at Snetterton Circuit, and so it's all quite new to me. I'm still very much a novice, and the way that they set these things up is they usually set them up in three groups: a novice, an intermediate and a fast group. So I obviously joined the novice group. So there was no exception here at Donington, and that's exactly what I did. I joined the novice group, and the first thing you do is check in. They start infeasibly early, about 7:30 in the morning. Usually go and check in, and then there's a briefing session for all the riders, and in the briefing session they tell you a little bit about the track, they tell you a bit about safety, they explain what the various flags mean and so on, and also you get a wristband to say that you've been at the briefing session, and that allows you on the track. Sometimes also you go to what's called scrutineering, where they do a noise test on the bike, which I was a little bit worried about because the Panigale is notoriously noisy, but in fact on this day they didn't do what's called a static test, which is where they stand by the bike with a noise meter. They just did a ride-by test, which is where they've got microphones based somewhere on the circuit, and they measure you as you go past. So luckily I had no issues with that. But once you've been to the briefing, you then get out onto the track. You find yourself a garage in the pits to set yourself up for the day, and then you go out in your groups for the initial run around the track, which is the sighting laps. You do 2 or 3 laps with an expert or somebody that knows the track very well, usually a local instructor, and they show you the lines to go through. So once you've done that, that's basically it. You're then free for the rest of the day to ride the circuit. Again, you do it in the group, so you get 20 minutes on the track, and then you wait for 40 minutes while the other groups run. So normally on a track like Donington, which is 2.5 miles round, you maybe get, I don't know, anywhere between sort of, I don't know, 6 to 9 laps in that session. But believe you me, it's very physical and it's very tiring, so you don't need any more time than that in one go. Anyway, I said I'd show you a couple of the laps. So I'm, as I say, by no means an expert at this. So let me just show you a couple of videos now that I took on board the bike on the way around the circuit. So we start the lap just coming out of Goddard's onto the main straight. Now this is brilliant, this bit, because you start now to come into the turn 2, which is the start of the Craner curves, and you can see the whole track laid out in front of you, so you can sort of plan your route through, and it's great in terms of kind of knowing what's coming. It's turn 4, which is known as the old hairpin. This is a long bend to the left, which actually you could probably take flat out. I never did, but I just didn't have the guts. But it's a very fast corner, that one, if you want to. And then we're coming on to one of my favourite bits of the track, because as we come up here, the track starts to rise as we come towards turn 7, which is known as McLean's. You can't actually see the corner, you have to turn in before you can actually see it. So I've turned in already, look, before I can see it, and then it's kind of a double apex as you go around McLean's and Coppice. And then you can really start to wind the power on. This was the fastest bit of the track I found. This is Starkey's Straight. There are a few humps here. Occasionally the front would lift off, the nose, you see a little wobble there, just as the nose lifted off. And great fun coming down there, and then straight into the chicane, which is known as the Essex. Then you're into a little straight, which can build up reasonable speed, but you've got to be ready, because this leads onto the Melbourne hairpin, which you have to slow right down. So here you're really hard on the brakes, down into second gear, and you're down to around 30 miles an hour as you come around Melbourne hairpin rather. And then you go up this short straight again, which isn't quite straight enough to get any decent speed or decent gear. So you have to be ready to slow down again as you come back to Goddard's, back for the start of the lap. go, that's a full lap of Donington circuit. Now, one of the things that is offered at most track days, all of them probably, is an on-site professional photographer. This was no exception. And here we see the photographer sitting down at Melbourne Hairpin taking some shots of bikes as he goes through. Here's a couple of the shots that he took of me at various points on the track. Really pleased how these came out. I purchased a DVD with these on. It got delivered a few days later. Okay, back to the track then. But just a couple of shots now of various things. This is just to show you how quickly Panigale can accelerate if you want to. If you're feeling brave, you can overtake most things. This next clip, we'll see how it's done properly. If you keep your eye open, you'll see from the left there goes an instructor. Just watch the speed he takes these corners. And then he disappears into the distance pretty sharpish. Watch top right here as we go on in this clip, as you should see in a minute. There you go, an aeroplane. Just shows you how close we are to East Midlands Airport. Quite distracting, those planes going over. And here's an example of how it's quite possible to overcook it. So I was trying to overtake this Daytona and I lost my bottle. You see the nose just wheeling the bike there, and then I thought, oh, chicane's going a bit quick, so I had to be really hard on the brakes. I'm now all set up wrong for the chicane, so hence the Daytona gets away from me. And then here you see the rider in front's got his arm out, means he's going into the pits. So I'm following him in here. This is into the pit lane. And once you're in there, you basically slow right down. You look for your garage. I think I was in garage 17. And you park up and wait for your session to come round again. Great time had by all. Okay, so there we go. That's pretty much it for what went on at the track day up at Donington. Fantastic time I had. Really enjoyed the circuit. In fact, I enjoyed it more than when I went to Snetterton. Actually, I found Snetterton was a bit of a faster circuit. As I say, I did that on my street triple, and I saw faster speeds there. But next time I'm going to a track day, it's going to be up at Silverstone, which is bigger again with much faster straights. So we should see what this baby can do in terms of top speed. But I really loved the bike. I mean, the handling was superb, and it really comes into its own when you throw it around those tracks and you understand what these bikes are all about. So thoroughly recommend it if you haven't done it. It really is a great way to learn what your bike can do. A couple of more things, I guess, just to mention about track days generally. There's on-site fuel. There's a fuel station there. I think it was $1.51 a litre, so quite expensive, but you do glug through the fuel, so it's handy to have that nearby. There's a restaurant on site, again, a bit like the fuel, expensive and not that great to be fair, but you've got to eat and you've got to stay hydrated. It's very physical doing this, as I said, so you have to drink plenty of water. As you saw on the footage, we had absolutely fantastic weather. Couldn't have been better. Nice dry track, sticky tyres. Absolutely brilliant. On the subject of tyres, your tyres do take a hammering. Here's a picture of my back tyre after the day. It looks a little bit shredded, but that's not as bad as it could have been. In fact, what we did was let a few pounds per square inch out of each tyre, and that actually reduces some of that shredding, because obviously the tyres get much hotter than they would do on normal road riding. So, but that tyre will be good for at least another track day or two. So there's that. What else to mention? I mentioned the helmets have to be have the ACU sticker on the back, and you also have to have leathers that have a full zip round join. But most leathers are like that if you've got a kind of a matching pair, so that should be okay. Other than that, nothing to it. Thoroughly recommend you do it. I mean, it's done in as safe an environment as it possibly can do. It's marshalled, there are ambulances available, so it's as safe as it can be. We had 2 or 3 people came off their bikes, nothing hurt other than their pride, I'm glad to say. Bikes came back looking a bit mangled, so you've got to take it a bit easy. But great fun had, and thoroughly recommend it to you. Okay, so look forward to speaking to you next time. Hope that's been of some interest, and I'll speak to you then. Until then, this has been the Missenden Flyer. Cheerio.